All right, so we're gonna get started. Good evening again, everyone. I'm gonna get started with our market stream here. I am Rodin, and we're gonna be going through our picks for buys and sells for the previous week, and then we'll go over some market-related news, and then head on over to our predictions for the current week. So we'll go ahead and get started. I don't have any graphics for last week's picks. There's just not enough room, especially with the way the overlay is right now. But we'll go ahead and go through them anyway. So from last week, one of the things I called out was the Nightmare. I was actually pretty excited about the Nightmare when I called it. I was like, oh man, if I had money, I would buy stuff right now. I'd buy it right now. And I really wish I did because it really picked up and the movement's just about dead, actually. So we'll go through that right now. So at the time, you would have been able to get the Nightmare like right around the 330 million mark, and it's above average right now. It can sell it for 379, 380. That's pretty good. So that's 14% before taxes if you're able to capture that. Hopefully someone was able to. That's for a faction battleship. That's a huge margin, huge margin. Unfortunately, faction battleships being the way they are pretty low volume, so there is that. But if you're able to, man, you're banking right now. You're totally banking right now. All right. The next thing that we talked about last week was the Dreadgarista's adaptive invuln. I managed to flip 5 of these over the course of 2 weeks, or not quite 2 weeks. So I bought it right at the bottom here of 180 mil or so, and then I managed to sell it. I think, let's see. So I bought it 177, sold it 195. So that's 10% before taxes. It's pretty good for faction module. Cyber's like, couldn't believe I wasn't following you into it. Dude, I couldn't believe I wasn't following you either. It's pretty crazy. I could have sworn I got everybody already, or most everybody that's in the scene. Yeah, that was pretty funny. DGs, I flipped them for basically 10%. Pretty happy with that. These next items, I had just bought them, but they're not. I already put them on for sale, but I'm kind of forecasting where they might end up. So the first one is the 5MN Meta micro drive. So I might be waiting a lot longer for not that much longer, but I really was anticipating this to have picked up by now. Yeah, I know, Cypher. We both fucked up on that one. All right, for these, I had bought these. How much do I have? I bought 1,000 of these, and I bought them for 302,000 ISK. Which kind of sucked, because then I bought them right here, but then they're actually continuing to drop. So I'm not too worried about that. I still managed to get them with the moving averages displaying overbought. So I'm okay with that. It's still below average by the time when I got it. So it's just gonna take a while. It looks like instead of picking up though, it's continuing to go down. It's like the profit overall might be a lot lower once everything's said and done. Unfortunately, that's okay. They're cheap though. Worst case scenario, I can always move them to the war zone. But for that volume, it's gonna take a while. And Arbalest Compact Light Missile Launcher. I have bought these as I managed to buy all of these. So I bought these for 464,000. Kind of the same thing. It's continuing to drop even lower. Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. If it's because even if it's at a loss, it's cheap. It's a cheap loss. But the biggest thing that I have going for it is I did buy it when it's reading as below average. I'm fine. Historically speaking, even if I don't get it in this current upward price swing, as long as I'm patient and don't freak out, I'll just leave it. I'll just leave it until I, until it gets sold on the second price swing, or if not, I'll just relist it. That's fine. I'll relist it whenever it reads above average again. All right, so those were the buys from last week. The sells that we discussed last week was were mostly ships. First one's the Stratios. So if you were to have sold this last week, you'd have been fine. You didn't have that much of a window to sell it though. It only read above average like very much in the beginning of the week, and then it's reading buy signal again. So this might be an opportunity for me actually this week. I might actually do just that, to be honest. Because I have a lot of stuff in the buy order side. It's just taking a while for it to get matched up. So yeah, small opportunity, a very short window for the Stratios for selling it from last week. Next one's the Garmer. I actually noted the Garmer again this week. So selling it last week, it looked like it should have. I was calling it as a sell because based on the graph, like it should have crossed over the 20-day moving average, but it didn't. It just totally got blocked, and it's reading below average again. It is what it is. But if you did sell it, I mean, you should have been able to sell it above 60 million. You should have been able to. There's a few days where it was reading that much. Now, mind you, those purchases might have been outliers, and just the way they present themselves in the graph, it doesn't. It's like, oh, it hit that range, but really it was like onesie twosies. It's just the way it is, though. All right, and finally, Rattlesnakes we called for sells from last week. Yeah, it hit above average most of last week, and it started to dip down again. 370 or so. Not really, not even. Yeah, like mid 350s. It's not that significant actually. All right, so those were our picks from last week. I'm just reviewing them. Some of them, not as strong as our previous predictions, but last week was actually kind of difficult because it was, at least on the technical side, they weren't super clear They were kind of just like a lot of them were. It seemed to be in this consolidation mode where it wasn't sure where it wants to go. Does it want to go up or down? Wasn't quite sure. This week I think is a lot better for calling things out. So we'll get over. We'll definitely we'll hit that up once we get there. Just some. I just want to go over some of the market-related news here. Over the weekend, we had episode 2 of the Blue Horseshoe Club podcast. I'll link that to chat. All right, cool. That's work. All right, so that was episode 2 that we recorded this Saturday. We did that with, so it was myself, Caleb, Aranya, Yintan was there, and Salam Decima. So that was actually really, really fun. It was a great discussion about some CSM items, some general null stuff. Talked a little bit about Tech 3 rebalancing and kind of the general direction where that's going. It's gonna be pretty important where that ends up, because I think at the end of the day, it's not just gonna be about the Tech 3 cruisers. It's gonna be about Tech 3 cruisers plus the Tech 2 cruiser variants that they're supposed to be emulating, right? So as a market person, as a production guy, as a trader, that's all gonna be relevant information. Not necessarily even if you just do ships, but also if you do modules, that's relevant to the cruiser lines, which is a good bulk of of the modules that are available out there. It is from a type of ship's perspective, the majority of them are cruisers. I mean, that's just the way it is. So definitely look out for that. Yeah, so that's definitely something that we're going to be doing and continuing with. We're going to be recording again this Saturday, and yeah, really looking forward to it, man. For such a young podcast, it actually has a good amount of views. So yeah, and the Saturday time slot actually I think is pretty good for everybody involved. All right, so there's that. Also, pretty significant. So, for those of you who don't know, I'm a big time faction warfare guy. More on the solo end, not necessarily big group faction warfare. It's just not. It feels so awkward to be in a big group and be in faction warfare. It's almost like it almost feels counterintuitive. Let me check actually if this is still relevant today. So the news is basically well, it still is. So basically, the Minmatar have taken control over every single Amarr faction warfare system. That's only the second time that's ever happened. It's pretty crazy. It's pretty crazy. So I'm gonna link the news bit here. Now, why is that relevant if you're into markets? That should be relevant to you if you're into markets, if you are into faction items at all. Sven Vico says, I'm in a more doing solo PvP. I didn't even realize. How did you not realize, bro? And but then again, if you're just in it for fights, yeah, I mean, I can totally see that. I mean, me for the most part, I'm in Cal Mill right now, and all I do really is just bounce between Citadel to Citadel in the Warzone, which I'll actually hit up. I'll discuss that a little bit. Oh, okay, gotcha. Yeah, I just bounce from Citadel to Citadel, just like little waypoints. That's all I do. That's all I do. All right. So why is this important if you're a market person? This should be important to you as a market person, because of the frequency of the event. A total flip of a Warzone control like that is incredibly rare. Incredibly rare, because it takes literal months to do that. And thousands of man hours, and a good chunk of those man hours are probably AFK man hours, but they're still man hours. So the Minmatar LP, because of how strong they are, how much of the Warzone they already own, it's already quite saturated. It's very, very saturated. Okay. However, unlike the Caldari and Gallente Warzone and their LP and how that stuff sells in Cheetah, Ammar and Minmatar, because they will have inherently a low volume representation in Cheetah, just because of that stuff just doesn't get there. Not in the same frequency that Gallente and Caldari faction items get to Cheetah, because it's inherently that war zone anyway. All right, so there's the matter of getting the stuff moved. That's problematic, especially if you're talking about faction warfare dudes who don't want to just haul that stuff out. They just want to insta sell it in their local hub and just cash out that way. All right, so the key takeaways that you should be looking at is right now you may still be able to continue to take advantage of the low volume presence of Minmatar and Ammar faction items in Cheetah, but eventually that's going to start to flip. That's going to start to flip because there's nowhere else for the Minmatar pressure to go as far as the PvP presence, having control of the Warzone. They've topped out basically. There's nowhere else to go. They've hit the end stage of the Warzone, and they basically have nowhere to go but down from this point. It's not going to be a dramatic cascade or anything like that, but it's just that apathy is going to start to seep in, and people just won't care anymore, or have less interest. And that's usually, and that's quite normal. And that's just quite normal. And this is how you'll see that. So eventually, where you want to be, or at least be aware of, is if you can snag up Minmatar specific faction items on the cheap, you should try to do that. All right, you should try to do that because you will have plenty of opportunity to get that. The general strategy during a post-total Warzone flip is winner prepares to dump saved LP and loser prepares to meet the balance between potential increased faction item demand with increased faction warfare participation as a tier control swings the other way. You see this every single time. So me personally, what am I looking at? I'm looking at capturing faction projectile ammo. I'm looking to capture faction drones. I'm looking to capture micro warp drives. I'm looking to capture Republic fleet shield extenders, things like that. All right, because that LP's got nowhere. Like, people will have, the folks in the Minmatar Warzone will eventually want to cash out, and it sucks. But those that do cash out, because they've accumulated tons of LP by now, and they want to do something with it. But if they cash out now, then they're cashing out really at the low end. But most don't care, to be honest. So take advantage of that, guys. And then so now the inverse would be happening for Ammar items. Now you got these Ammar items that probably have been valued much higher than Minmatar because of the rarity is the wrong word. It just takes more work to get more LP right now. But eventually they're gonna start picking it up again. It's not gonna happen all at once, but it's gonna start to move in that direction, or at least closer to the middle of control, instead of just one being absolutely in total control over the other. So what should you be preparing to do if you're looking into Amarr faction items? You should be preparing for them to start picking up in value. So if you happen to have gathered them in your hangars, you know, like even if it's like just faction ammo or the plates or Imperial Navy drones, which is actually very highly sought after for ratting purposes. If you have those in volume, I would start actually putting that out in the market. Definitely starting probably from now until they start hitting into tier 2 comfortably. That's probably the best time that you'll see value out of it. So, and I'll definitely keep you guys up to speed of kind of what's hot to buy and sell for faction items. Right now for Caldari, it seems to be like the go-to items, you know, like drones for sure, Caldari large shield extenders. If you know, it's kind of strange, you know, I've never actually seen that much demand for them, but they're starting to kind of pick up there. So I'll definitely have to add that to our kind of weekly presentation here. All right, so that's all I got for Warzone stuff. Just be mindful. So there's a flip happening, and be prepared to act on faction items, because when these items move, they move mostly on the buy order side. So just people just dump them. Like I would dump them. Like when I was still heavily in the Warzone, I would just, as soon as I accumulate usually around 200 to 500,000 LP, I just do a big LP dump. And I'm just one guy. Oh, Svedvigo says, so that's why I'm about all of my Caldari Navy large shield extenders. Yeah, actually, let me link something to you guys. So I just linked Fuzzy Steve's website for the LP database. It's super accurate. I think there's like 2, maybe 3 more tools out there, but this tool's been around forever. When you're looking at that stuff, don't get blinded by the conversion rate of, you know, when you start seeing, oh, this thing gives me 4,000 ISK per LP. I mean, that's great, that's accurate, but at the same time, look at the volume. A lot of those really high conversion rates, they're literally like onesie twosies get sold a day. So do be careful, unless you're willing to wait. Don't mess around with those. Look at the volume. Be mindful of what the settings you're putting it on. Are you putting it on? Are you looking at sell order? Or are you looking at buy orders? If you're looking to do like a massive dump, look at buy orders. Most of that stuff ends up in buy orders anyway. Because people kind of, you know, because you don't get bounties from doing those plexes. It's all LP, so people want to get paid so they can keep up that lifestyle. All right, next one we got here is this is from the Imperium News. So this is a mining guide that was published by Imperium News Network. I was browsing through that. It's a pretty good guide, I'll be honest. I mean, because the last big guide that we got for mining that was put out there was Halada's Complete Mining Guide, which was literally in 2012. Yeah, and then there's been a lot of changes since then. Now that version is web-based. It's not a PDF. Maybe it'll eventually be a PDF in the future, but right now it's through the website. but it's very comprehensive. It's a really good guide. It goes through the ships, goes through the fitting. You got really good still shots, you know, of the ships that they're talking about. It's really good. It's a really good guide. If you're a miner or if you're just looking into, you know, kind of brush up on that part of the game, yeah, why not? Why not read up on it? Um, I personally haven't mined or in years, literal years, you know. So it'd be good for me to know that stuff if I ever want to get into buying and selling minerals, compressed ore, etc. Or just knowing how that stuff works if I ever were to do like a buyback program, or if I live in Nullsec in general, I should probably know that stuff, to be honest. All right. Next thing I want to go over, guys, is actually I'm probably going to be talking about this for a while, maybe not a while, but so what I just linked is the spreadsheet concerning the Tech 3 Cruiser focus group, what they're planning on. It's super early in the existence of that group, so don't freak out too much. Um, as a market person, I guess the biggest takeaway right now is looking at kind of the big picture that they want to take that whole project towards. So I'm going to read a little bit of a bit here. Huge disclaimer, work in progress, subject to change, not yet complete. Freak out at your own risk. Very fair. Other key changes, reduce Tech 3 Cruiser base resistance to Tech 3 destroyer levels. That's huge. Increase signature radius somewhat. Reduce agility and speed slightly. Increase cost slightly. Not sure how they're going to do that. Hoping they're not going to add another required material, maybe just mess around with the values of the current material sets, but we'll see. Swappable rigs, so that's confirmed. That's great. Hull bonus per level, minus 5% to all heat damage, 10% bonus, and anti-repair speed. All right. So for me, my early takeaway from that is it would really help if you start looking into where is the Tech 3 Cruiser gonna lose the best in slot, and a Tech 2 Cruiser is gonna take its place. I think that's a very important piece to be aware of once these changes start hashing themselves out. Because right now, with the exception of like Force Recons, I can't think of roles, and Logi, of course. I can't think of too many roles that a Tech 2 Cruiser beats out a Tech 3 Cruiser. It's not that many. Sven Vico says, I think they said they want each Tech 3 Cruiser to have some unique materials from others so that prices can vary more dependently. You know what? I heard the same thing. So so in my mind, I'm thinking, are they talking about faction or region of space specific? You know, like Tengus are going to require stuff that you can only find in Caldari type space, etc., right? And that was way back at Fan Festival. Yeah, right around there. That'd be interesting from a production standpoint, but at the same time, now are you? Because until now, for like up to now, we've always had this thing where Tech 3 cruisers could literally be built from harvest to process to production in wormhole space. If you're going to be needing to export them from outside of wormhole space, is that okay as a wormholer? As a small time wormholer, yeah, I think that's fine. I think that's fine. But if I'm, stuck in I don't know, I don't know if that's gonna be too much of a bother for large established groups in wormhole space where they treat their home wormhole like it was a fortress. Is that going to be too bothersome to do that? To where I don't know. If anyone out there lives in like in a C5 C6, is that a deal breaker for you if you can't build your Tech 3 cruisers locally? Or does that even matter? Or do you guys even build it there? Do you just harvest and ship out the materials to Jita anyway? So it doesn't matter. So that's where I would encourage people to stay abreast of the information. Try to deduce where that shift in role is gonna be, where the Tech 2 cruiser is gonna outpace the Tech 3 cruisers. And then make plans accordingly, because this is huge, man. This is gonna shake up nullsec meta. It's gonna shake up obviously wormhole meta. The changes from this focus group is gonna be felt game wide, and not to mention AT. Yeah, I mean they've already made. I'm not a big AT guy, or I'm not very knowledgeable on it, like the rule sets and stuff like that. But I imagine there needs to be. I think one of the key balancing points that they have announced so far is you're going to be able, so you can't put RR on Tech 3 cruisers. I think that's one of them. But they're going to balance that out with you being able to put on cap transfer. So I don't know. I guess in the meta that's okay. That balances the whole thing out. I don't know. If I totally butchered that, my bad. So we'll see. Like, I haven't built Tech 3 cruisers in a long time. I know ProBag's still building them. He's gonna have to do something with all those Tech 3 cruisers he built, man. I don't know. Let's see where. I'm just curious. Look at where Tengus are sitting at. You're gonna look at Tech 3 cruisers. Tengus and Proteus are like. You should really, as a standard for market stuff, that's a good place to look. They're dipping down, so they finally hit their floor, and that's a pretty, man. This is a 90-day view. I can't imagine the price going back up consistently beyond 120 million at this point. Something's gonna have to happen. But if ultimately what the Tech 3 cruisers are gonna be, they're gonna be weaker than they currently are, I can't imagine the value going back up to the way it used to be. There's no reason for it to. I mean, in wormhole space, I imagine. I mean, it's already like I don't use Tech 3 cruisers to farm in low class wormholes. I use faction cruisers. I use Gilas. I use Ishtars. I use Serbs. Because I mean one of the biggest flaws of the Tech 3 cruisers for a lot of most of the fits are very cap heavy. Or it takes a lot of money to make to step away from it being so cap dependent. So when you have a lot of passive fits out there, but they just happen to be faction cruisers though. All right, so that's my bid for the Tech 3 cruisers. That Google Doc that I linked to you guys, it's set to view, so I guess that's gonna be the main document where you can see updates and whatnot. All right, quick investment group update. some of the guys from our group have been dabbling in the realm of collateralized loans and general third-party assistance in-house. That's pretty exciting to me, man. I'm still in certain, invested in certain people there, but it's really cool to start moving towards the collateralized loans, and every time you have some sort of collateralized loan program, it's very convenient to have someone in-house to actually be a third party. I think it's good. It lends itself to more secure loans, and like it makes investors feel a little better if it's collateralized. The one that's available right now, that's already, the one collateralized loan offering that we have right now, I think a lot of people have already bought into it simply because it's well over, it's more than covered. So as far as payouts and stuff like that, I mean, I imagine, that's going to be up to the operator how he wants to do that for the most part, but it's nice to have that option. And is this going to change the loan offerings for the group down the line? Is the standard going to be collateralized? I don't know. If it's someone that I know, I'm totally cool with supporting uncollateralized loans, as long as you have a history and I keep track of the pending loans and whatnot. For the ones that want to be tracked. Some of them, they're already established people as far as loans and investments. They don't really need they don't need my help to establish history for them because they already have an established history. All right, so next thing we want to go over, guys, our actual picks of the week. So have a nice overlay down the bottom of our screen here for our buys and sells of the week. It's a lot nicer than what we used to have. I think it confines the information in a set part of the screen, so it looks a lot neater, so that's good. I'm not sure if I captured everything in there. So one of the things I've kind of messing around with is the sizing of the text, depending on how much is in there. They get smaller if I want to keep that kind of scrolling action. So we'll go ahead and carry on with that stuff. All right, so the first one I'm going to go over for our buy of the week is Caldari Navy Ballistic Control Systems. All right, so right now, so again, we're gonna be sticking to our 90-day view here. We're at 88 right now. Yeah, 90-day view. So the Caldari Navy Ballistic Control System reading below average. Where is it at right now? 88. I think it's pretty. If you were to be able to get it at buy orders right now of 88, I think it's reasonable for you to be able to sell it above 95, like 97. So let's do that. I'll go 88 to 97. I think that's a good guesstimate. It's about 10% before taxes. That's pretty good. It's pretty good. You're gonna have. I've played this before, and you see the volume. It's like there's a lot in there. A lot of it just ends up in buys. It's pretty challenging to actually get this to sell, because if I actually wanted to get them, I would if I ever wanted to get any faction module, not just plain faction, not pirate or faction anything, I would put buy orders. I would never actually try to get it from sales unless I really needed it right then and there. Because a lot of folks who convert their LP to get these items, most will dump it instantly on buy orders. That's just common behavior. And that one way to exploit that is just to be active on your buy orders. If you want to get, even if you're just working towards a fit, give yourself some time to actually gather up the fit buy orders if you want to get it on the cheap. So that's what I would recommend. Or that's looking into the behavior of the folks who actually sell this stuff in the market. Now, as far as this being a good pick, I think it's pretty reasonable to get it at even right now at 88, 87, and you could probably find within the next, I think, 5 days or so, an opportunity to sell it at 95, 97. Hey, Mothman Codes, what's up, man? Again, just be very careful how much buy orders you put up, because you may find it difficult to actually sell this sucker unless you go buy to buy. But oh man, that takes some planning. And if you guys have questions, just feel free to hit me up on Switch chat, and we'll address them. All right, next item we have to look at is Fed Navy mag stabs. Not a fan of this item. Personally, I've never used this. I don't really even know if you're really getting that much more out of it. Not, so in that sense, I'm not a fan because I've never used it. I've never felt compelled to use it. But people buy it. Apparently, there was a big drop in it. So right now, it's sitting at. That's a big sell-off, actually. I'm curious. Mothman Co's always wanted to make ISK like this. To be honest, it's tough to break into if your only exposure to trading is kind of like the stereotypical things about trading. You can totally be creative in how you do this. To be honest, I don't make that much money trading. I don't. If the intent is to make money, don't get into trading. Be like an incursionist or something like that. Buy a super carrier and super carrier rat if you want to make money. Like, this is more of wealth generation, not so much immediate profitability, if you can think of it that way. All right, Fed Navy mag stabs. They're in a good place to buy right now. If you can get them, if you can still get them under 80, that's actually really good. Nope, missed that boat. Sven Vico says, this is what you do when you have money and want to make more with it. Yep. You need money. You need money to make money. Now, there have been people, I know, like Reaver has done it. I don't know if Caleb's done it. It's the 5,000 or 10,000 ISK challenge. When you make a character for the very first time and start trading with them. And I think it's a race to a billion with that. Reaver's done it. I'm pretty sure she's done it a couple times, actually. So it's possible, but to do that as a fresh player, dude, you just need knowledge, right? You need knowledge to kind of get it, to know what to do, to know efficient ways to get about doing things. Sven Vico says a 1% return on investment when you only have 100 million ISK, but when you have 100 billion plus, yep, it's the scaling, the way it scales, man. It gets ridiculous. Like, people making money, like, yeah, but it takes a lot of confidence to do that, to be honest. Yeah, it's not so much that it's crazy. It's the math. It's literally the math. It's the way it is. All right, but Fed Navy mag stabs, getting it mid 80s. So right now it's at 86, and you could probably get this up to 95. You can probably resell this at 95 once it starts picking back up. I'm not sure if it'll hit over 100 million. because that's a whole lot of outliers in this space. That's a whole lot of outliers. I think it's more realistic to get like 95, 86, 95. Yeah, 10%. That's not bad for a faction item. That's really not bad. That's definitely above, slightly above average. All right, next one is Fed Navy Ogres. Faction drones are actually really good. They're good to use. They're cheap too. What's your for the performance that you're getting? They're pretty cheap. So the Fed Navy Ogres, they have a really tight cycle, up and down, up and down, up and down. It's down right now. I'm not sure how long it's gonna last, but let's see, close to under 2 mil as you can. It's right at 2. Even right now, buying it at 2 million, selling at 2.2, that's 10%. It's 10%. It's doable. That's totally doable. It's being patient and not chasing. With patterns like this, the best advice I can give you guys is be patient. Don't chase it once it goes above average. You have to let it go, especially if it's displaying a history of it, you know, kind of going up and down, up and down, up and down like clockwork. Just wait it out. I mean, tomorrow it might be missed opportunity already, to be honest. But then again, it's cyclical, so opportunity will happen again. But the general trend seems to be going down. So I made a note here: observe organic motor applicator. Did I make that to the? Actually, it didn't make it to the scrolling text there. But let's take a look. Oh, speaking of P4s, I'm like doing a fire sale for all the stuff in the wormhole that I live in, the Alliance wormhole. Yeah, it's too cumbersome to be living there and doing ops in Empire, man. It's too cumbersome. So as soon as all my P4 stuff's done, I'm heading back to Empire. I'm actually looking forward to it, just to be out of wormhole space. It's tough being wormhole space and not having full control of the wormhole. If you know, for anyone that's ever done wormholing or even just short-term habitation of wormholes, you gotta have full control of like everything that's in there, structures, the works, everything, full control. If you don't, it's super awkward. It's really, really awkward. I mean, I love my alliance, but at the same time, it's not mine. It's the alliance's wormhole, right? But for my time zone, I'm U.S. time zone, but the majority of our alliance is EU, so yeah, there's not enough support out there for U.S. time zone guys. So, all right, take a look at organic motor applicators. So I put observe on this. QVR4TC asks what alliance am I in? I'm in Wrecking Machine Alliance. We are a group that does a lot of Citadel killing in Empire. Not quite Merc. Not quite. So I put observe for organic motor applicators because it looks like it's about to trend down. But it's not quite there yet. It's not quite there yet. But if you happen to be watching this, and if you ever find this under 110, I'm sorry, under 1.1 million, you should definitely snag it. You should definitely snag it if you find this below 1.1. That seems to be kind of where it likes to sit. Let's say you don't. Let's say let's say it's right at 1.1. It plays between 1.1 and 1.2. So that's 91%, sorry, 9% before taxes. That's not bad. That's not bad. For something that plays in high volumes like this, yeah, that's still pretty doable. It's pretty doable. It's not as cyclical as the ogres, but it's kind of there. It's like what, 2 to 3 week patterns. All right, and another thing to watch out for buys this week: sterile conduit. I'm actually making these from. I made these from P0s. I'm almost done with the batch that I have in the wormhole. And once everything's said and done, net profit would have been close to 20%. Now, mind you, it took forever to get that though. Like it almost took like a bit over a month to actually get there. 20 plus days to work the P0 to P3, and then it took a couple days to get a good exit and or wait for a good exit to get it in there. And the batch that I had takes about 5 to 6 days to finish. So it's basically a P0 to P4 operation. It takes about a month to net 20% profit, but the actual raw profit, honestly, it's actually quite small. It's not even worth. I think it's too much work and too much waiting for way less than 300 million net profit. Mothman Code says, how would you tell the tax, or is it the same everywhere? So the Pocos in Empire will always have an interbus tax of 10%. The player tax, so that will never go away. That's like NPC tax. Player tax can be placed on top of that. So even if someone were to say, oh, I have a Poco in HiSec, but it's 0% tax. It's 0% player tax, but it'll always have the interbus tax. So if you do the math, and at face value, it looks like, oh man, there's a lot of profit to do PI, like double digit easily. But bear in mind that doesn't include you paying the taxes, all throughout the process. Now in wormhole space and in nullsec, it can be arranged to where you can have like legit 0% tax. So interbus tax doesn't exist in nullsec or wormhole space, but player tax can. Most people don't bother with it, because it's incentive to do it, right? For most groups. But some will probably have like a small tax in there just to kind of help pay for the Poco. But yeah, so that's how the tax works for the Pocos. So the Pocos that I worked out of, that's actually a good question. So I have from P0 to P3, I'm using one of my corp mates' Pocos in Empire. It's literally like 4 jumps from Jita. It's great. He puts like less than 1% tax on it, player tax, but there's the 10% still. Just watch the taxes, because you'll see the charge tax. Just observe it, so you can get an accurate, like on the scene tax accountability. So, and for the P3s that I used, yeah, it was. I could have actually sold it for a profit right there and didn't bother, and I didn't need to bother to send that to Wormhole. It's just that I was already set up for it. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna do it just one time, just to get it out of just to do it. P0 to P4 straight up. It just took way too long. It's just way too long. For some people that might be okay, but like, if I didn't have to transport it to wormhole space, I'd probably be okay with it. But I did, so I'm like, nah, fuck that. I can't do that all the time, man. There's no way. No way. All right, sterile conduits by, yeah. I probably spend maybe too many clicks. Not necessarily for factories. For harvest, yeah, way too many clicks for harvest. Way too many. Way too many. But for sterile conduits, I wouldn't buy it right now, unless you can catch it as close to 1.13 as you can. Oh, even below it, so 1.2 right now. That'd be a good spot, actually. Actually, I'd wait. I'd probably get as close to 1.15. Yeah, I'd wait a little bit. See how this looks in 2-3 days. If it's lower than 1.2, I think you're in good shape. be prepared to act on it. Don't buy it yet. I think it's got room to go to get lower. I think it's got, yeah, I definitely think it's got room to get lower. All right, next one's Astero for a buy. If you can't act on the Astero like tonight, don't act on it. Like wait it out again. It's too close to call. Hmm. It's under 55. Ugh. This might be a missed opportunity. Let's say you get it tonight at 56 and you sell it at 60, 61. Yeah. I think if you wait till tomorrow, this might be a, you might have lost an opportunity on Asteros. That's okay. It's another cyclical item, much like all the pirate faction ships. They're almost all cyclical, not all of them. If you can get this as close to 55 mil as possible, I think you'll be okay. Once it starts crossing the 57, you might want to put the brakes on. Okay, next one's Garmer. Definitely showing buy signals right now for the Garmer. It looked like it was about to crack earlier this week. You know, we called this as a potential buy from last week, but it didn't actually quite go over the average, to go above the 20-day average rather. So it's continuing to show buy signals. So if you can get this like 55 to 60. Yeah. I was looking real good. 53. That's not bad. That's not bad. Let's see, 53 to 60. We get it tonight. 12% before taxes. That's not bad. Ray Silent asks, how much do you need to get a good investment in? 3 billion? Doesn't, I mean, it all depends on you, to be honest. Like, a lot of people, it all depends on the type of player that you are. Some people can do a lot with 3 billion. Some people, that may be too much, and they don't know what to buy at that point. One of the things to consider when you're getting into these kinds of operation is scaling, like being realistic. Like, how much work are you willing to actually do? Because, especially for folks that are in it for, like, really in it for profit as opposed to wealth generation, that's a big difference between the two. So me personally, I don't need the money. I'm a turtle when it comes to this stuff. I literally wait out the patterns, buy, sell, buy, sell, buy, sell. Right now, I haven't had to change my orders, like all of them, in like a week, because I'm tied up on where I'm intending to. I already have it planned out where I'm gonna be putting the buy and sell orders in. Some more. There's nothing for me to change. Not a lot of people work like that, especially if you actually need money. So I trade like someone who doesn't need money. And if that's something you want to learn, come hit me up. But as far as when I first, like, I'll give you at least my experience. When I first started, I started with 2 billion. I started with 2 billion. I didn't get really serious with it until about a year and a half ago. That 2 billion eventually became 140 billion. Through investments, of course. Ray Silence says, well, I got 10 billion to invest, but man, I get lost once I hit 3 to 4 billion buy orders. Yep. One of the things I did, and when I was playing around with such large amounts of money, is I stopped investing in things in the market, and I started investing in people. Investing in people has a lot higher yields than investing in things in the market. Nick Wan says, the only trade in JITA or transport stuff to and from other hubs. I used to do, I used to have a a trading character just in Jita for station trading, and within the vicinity of the citadels. And I had one character in Amarr specifically, and I had another character to work between Rennes, Heck, and Dodixie. Those three hubs are literally within that's like an 8 jump radius. So I had 3 characters working all at once, but never really to move between hubs. That's a lot of work, man. That's a lot of work. I did local trading in those respective hubs basically. Even then, it wasn't even that profitable, at least because of how I did it or when I would be able to actually adjust orders and stuff. It took me, it didn't take me that long to figure out that it wasn't profitable. And I just stuck with just Jita, like buy and sell in Jita straight up, and being social and figuring out if there's anyone out there, who is looking for investments and payouts and whatnot. That's basically what the group that I belong to. We have an investment group that does all that. I'm pretty sure we cracked 50 billion ISK in transferred ISK so far. So it's getting up there. It's getting up there. And the good thing about it is I'm just a dude that's in the Discord. You know what I mean? I don't control anything in there. But it's nice to see that people are working together to get all for mutual goals. So. All right, next one, Stratios. Stratios is good, man. Get this at under 190. 188's not bad. Let's look at it right now. If we just do a straight flip. Maybe not right now. It's a bit tight, and it'll only get tighter. I'd probably wait this out. If you can get this on, like 185, I think you'll be in good shape. Will it get there? I don't know. Wraith X72 says I'm working Amarr. It's been okay so far. Jita was a bit rough for me. With Jita, yeah, if you're trying, one of the things that really changed my mind, but not necessarily changed my mind, but changed my perception of how to work Jita. Don't chase, or don't chase too hard. Anticipate where the prices are going to be and place buy and sell orders accordingly. Basically, you want to cut them off the pass. If you chase too hard, sometimes you chase so hard that you miss it. And it happened. That'll happen a lot. At least it happened a lot to me. Vico says, doesn't SOE stuff crash during the summer slumps though? I'm not sure if there's history behind that. I'm not sure. I would have to refer to the charts a little better and match up time frames. Wraith X72 says, I've been playing about a month now, so still really new. If you've been playing for about a month and this is something you're already looking into, good for you, man. Good for you. It's one of the few things that it's a wealth generation activity, not necessarily profit taking for the purpose of just maintaining a particular lifestyle. Because of you giving away trade secrets here, have to be careful. You know what? That's I've been criticized a lot actually for that. Oh, you're giving away secrets, blah blah blah. One day I was running for CSM this time around. I was like, oh, isn't that gonna be a hindrance to you? Because that's what you do. It was kind of frustrating. Engaging people in that. But ultimately, it's not really a secret because you'd be surprised. A lot of people kind of know this inherently. They may not verbalize it or they don't engage in those ideas all the time, but a lot of it they just know because they play. Wraith X72 says, it's how I play most games, auction house crafting, Margate PvP. Yep. It's engaging, man. I like it. You have an appreciation for the greater game when you do market stuff. All right, and last thing for buys, observing Plex. Plex is going to be interesting. All right, so oh man, so for you guys who are not aware, Plex has been made smaller. Instead of one Plex equals 1 month subscription time, it's 500 Plex equals 1 month subscription time. So it's been broken up into 500 smaller pieces. So right now, I say observe it because the moving average, the 5 and 20-day moving averages are kind of coming together. But I'm not saying buy or sell right now. I'm probably, if you have it stockpiled, buying it, or sorry, if you happen to have it stockpiled, and you had to do a QVR4GT says now that the market is stable. You never want a stable market. Stable now, man. Like volatility is the source of profitability. You know, when the market is going haywire, that means you got really deep sales and really good profit making. That's the way it is. Otherwise, you know, you're just like competing with NPC orders. There's no fun in that. All right, but with the Plex, if you happen to have a whole bunch of these and you like, I have a whole bunch of them. I want to either buy these or sell them. I would sell them if you had to do something with them. Can it get higher than 2.75, 2.8? Yeah, probably could. But right now, it's really hit this ceiling, this 2.75, just right under 2.75 ceiling, where it doesn't quite want to head up there. I think it'll eventually crack it. You know, we have no idea how high this is gonna get, but I know. I think 3 million ISK per Plex is very reasonable for the way it is right now, especially with AT right around the corner. You know, folks buying ships, you know, for preparation purposes. I mean, one of the things that's probably caused it to hit the ceiling now is the silent bids are over. You know, silent bids have been over, and maybe this is, you know, pulling back from there. So we'll see. Now, AT without gambling, how is that going to affect the Plex market, if at all? I don't know. It's not going to display the same level of volatility that it has historically, with gambling being doable. So maybe it's, you know, it's actually going to be quite quiet for Plex market during the AT season, which is weird. All right, so those are all our buys. Hedden Dimalone says, I only watch AT to gamble. Yeah. Most people kind of did just that, you know, like it's a time to gamble, you know. Now that it's not legal, does that mean that the AT will suffer viewership? I don't know. I honestly don't know. This AT season will be the first to fall in that, and it's going to be interesting to see how it does, how the viewership goes. I just got a few things for our sells of the week. DG Adaptive Invuln, we discussed that in the beginning. It's just running away. So pull that up again to refresh everyone's memory. Boom! It's just screaming, "Sell me, sell me, sell me! If you have me, sell me! If you have me, sell me!" That's what it says. Well above the average, like outlier levels above average as far as recent history goes. So that's an easy call, guys. That's an easy call. Next one's drone coronary unit. This is a material required to make the excavator mining drones. I've never made them. But it's showing it's right. It's almost at 90-day highs. It's hitting up again. It's gonna be close to reaching 90-day highs. if you happen to have a whole bunch of these, might be a good time to dump them. Now, this increase in price, volume hasn't changed, so that's kind of weird. So the increase in price has led me to look at the excavator drones as well, which I marked as a thing to sell this week. Excavator mining drones, like, just when you think they're about to go below average, they bounce right back up. And now that the one of the components for the excavator mining drones is increasing in price, I would say that, you know, that's probably going to reflect in the oops, sorry, that's the wrong one. So that's probably going to reflect on the excavator mining drones as well. You know, if the materials are gaining in price, then the resulting final product should increase in price as well, right? Only makes sense. So if you have these, sell them. I don't see them. See, it seems like it's hitting you can see how it doesn't quite have enough juice to crack 1.13 billion. That's a ridiculous amount to be for a dang mining drone. That's ridiculous. So if this is the short-term ceiling for it, and you happen to have these and you don't intend to use them, this might be the time to actually sell these. Because the drone coronary units have been a higher price, and it didn't really reflect, you know, it didn't, you know what I mean? Like it's tough to sell. I mean, tough to say. But if you have excavator mining drones now, and you're not going to use it, you don't own a Rockwell or anything like that, this would be the time to sell it, because it's displaying that it's having a hard time selling beyond 1.13 billion. IMGR33N says, is there a collector's value to ships with the wrong size rigs? Man, that's a tough question. I used to have a salvaging thrasher with large salvaging rigs back in the day. They got blown up. That's definitely a collector's item, I think. Like, I wouldn't pay too much for it. I mean, but I'm not a collector guy, you know what I mean? Like, I wouldn't find that much value in it. But if you did, like, I mean, it would have to be someone, I would think it would have to be someone who knew that was a thing, you know? Good luck to you, though, man. That's actually, I've never been asked that question. So, yeah, I'm not sure if there's a demand for it. It says you have a Sleipnir with large rigs and I have no idea what to sell it for. I mean, worst case scenario, potential buyers probably won't take into account the larger rigs, because it's not like they're getting more performance out of the large rigs, right? They're behaving like medium rigs. That's super old though, a Sleipnir with large rigs. Holy shit. I mean, back in the day, that was a bomb-ass Sleipnir. Alright, next one for sells for the week. Small ancillary repper. Finally. We're gonna talk about this again. I haven't had a chance to talk about these in a while. QVR4TT says, people always say they're collector's items, but I've never known of one being bought or sold. Yeah, me neither. Hey, DJ Gimini! People will buy them. It can take a while, though. They'll buy them really for novelty and nostalgia. Yeah, that's true. I can see that. IMGR33N says, when I last flew it, it looked like a cyclone. Now it's a hurricane. Dang! That's old school. That is super old school. Our small ancillary reppers. If you happen to have bought this when it was displaying below average, you know, I was totally afraid to pull the trigger on it, because I really thought it would go even lower. I really thought it would go lower. But it hit a floor about 5.5. So if you happen to have it then, and you have a stock of it now, let's see where it's selling it. 6.7. Oof. You could have reasonably got this for 5.5 mil within the last 2 weeks. If you got it then and you want to sell it now, you're looking at 18% profit before taxes. That's crazy. That's crazy good. QVR4TC says, damn, are CCP ever going to fix these? What do you mean? Oh, these? No, they're not fixing that. There's nothing to fix. They've already fixed it. They've already adjusted the drop rate, but it continues to go higher. It's us that's the problem. It's not. It's from the sourcing. The sourcing has already been fixed. They've already increased the drop rate. It's us that's hoarding it. At least that's what I think. I totally feel you though. I totally feel you. I was expecting them to drop in price because of increased drop rate, but it's either we're really hoarding them or people aren't really. The increase in drop rate doesn't matter too much since people don't do the data sites to get the SARs in the first place all that much. So there might be a handful of people that have a whole bunch of them, and it might be a much more controlled item than you think, potentially. That's what I think. It's a cartelled item. Funny, but it actually was a cartelled item. A SAR cartel. Christ. Ugh. It's disgusting though, man. Doing all that shit, fucking data sites. I mean, they're easy, but they're like, rarely do you get good drops out of them. Right, but if you happen to have SARs, I'd sell them. If you've been buying them up for the last 2 weeks, you're looking at 18% before taxes. That's really good. And they sell fast. They sell super fast. All right, next one's Daredevil. Yep. Screaming sell me. For the last, at least earlier this week, if you got this sub 50 mil, that's like what, 47? And you're selling it like 55, 57, 56. Even just right now, let's look at it right now. You can just a straight flip. I mean, right now, it's the difference between current buy and sell prices. That's 13% before taxes. That's really good. For Daredevil, that's really, really good. Usually these are super tight, like 5% hard. So if you happen to have them, it'd be a good time to sell them. Nightmare, we already talked about that earlier, but let's review it again. Yep, slight rise. Got it at 330, sell it at 375, something like that. You're looking at double-digit percentage, like 10%, 10% easy. And finally, guys, large skill injector. So these skill injectors have changed as well. We have small and large. Large skill injectors basically equals 5 small skill injectors. There's not much price history with the small skill injectors, and it's only like a week old. Yeah, it's literally like a week old. This is the entire history of this item. But the large ones, it's just running away, man. So you'll notice that the skill injectors will almost always be in parity to price to the Plex. The Plex hits a ceiling, large skill injectors hit a ceiling. So if you happen to have it now, if you have a whole bunch of these, and you're looking for an opportune time to sell them, it might be right now. Selling it for 750 million. Holy shit, that's a lot of money. Ugh, that's ridiculous, man. That's ridiculous. Yeah, that's ridiculous. Yeah, let's see. We're at 90-day view right now. That's all-time high. If you have them and you don't need them, you'd rather have ISK versus skills, you should probably sell it. This is all-time high territory. spent because they were sub 575 in November for a time. Yep, it was just it was a prolonged consolidation period between extractors, injectors, and Plex. So yeah, it didn't seem like that at the time because I wasn't even looking at it that way. I was looking at it for straight up flips. But really, that's what they were. You know, that's really what they were. So I'm not gonna be buying these anytime soon. Nope. If I had them, I'd sell them. Historical highs, man. Absolutely, take advantage of it. 'Cause you never know. You never know what kind of market conditions would be necessary to replicate this. Nope. All right, guys. So I think we've definitely gone a little longer than usual, which is totally fine. You know, we don't have anyone after us or anything like that. So, what I'm working on though, working on maybe having some people with us to talk about the market during our time slot. And but if anyone's interested out there, what we could totally do is just have have a Discord channel to just drop in and just start talking. You know, as long as I get to, it would be kind of fun actually to start talking about this stuff as a group, kind of like like brainstorming sessions almost. So Enrico's first time tuning in. Great show. Thank you. Glad there's someone doing market stuff now that Prosper's leaving. Oh, it makes me so sad to see Lockfox leave. But I totally get why he's leaving. I totally get it. Real life stuff, man. Dev fleet type stuff. Yeah, I totally get it, man. Totally get it. Awesome. Thanks, Adam Dimaloon says, yeah, same. We'll look to check out your Slab more often. Cool. Also, guys, if this kind of stuff is interesting to you, Christopher Mellon does the minor metrics, of course. The Lone Wolf. I don't think he does straight up streams anymore. He definitely still does the YouTube videos. Yeah, I know. DJ, you may say, oh, I know. Lockfox will still be around. He'll be in the shadows for the most part. And on Saturdays, we do the Blue Horseshoe Club podcast, which is basically me, Caleb, and at least 2 other guests talk about market stuff. We already have show notes for this week, so I'm almost certain that our guests are locked in. So we'll let you guys know. Chocolate Rain says, legit sit here and just listen to Runtime. It makes me feel like I'm making this good. I'll be honest with you, like, I'm like super tempted to get back into investing and being an operator and stuff. It's just like, I know I'm gonna like, I don't know if I have like legit time to do it. I'm not sure. But I'm definitely been doing more of helping support our operators and investors and with what they need. A lot of the times, people will kind of just do that stuff anyway. They just need like a platform to do those types of things in. So that's hopefully what our Discord channel has kind of become. It's a way for like a meeting place for people with money and people that want to do effort and have that exchange. Cool. Well, thank you very much, guys. Hopefully someone will take advantage of all the stuff that we went over for market stuff today. There's definitely some opportunities there. Probably more on the sell side than the buy side. We'll see. And I will see you guys again next week. And I will get this to YouTube tonight and link that up in Twitter and all the Discord channels that I'm in. Maybe some of you guys are there too. But again, thank you very much. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks.